This is my mentor, my dad, and he's going to be talking about different types of reel selection.
So earlier we talked about, or in our previous video, we talked about picking the right kind of rod for the right kind of job. And we talked about spinning rods and bait casting rods. So now we want to talk about the proper reel to be using on those. So if you fish with a spinning rod, then you're going to need a spinning reel. So this is going to be a spinning reel. The line's going to spool up here around this outer spool, and then there's a arm here that will spin and retract and spin the line around the spool when it's taking that line in. Likewise, the other reel you're going to have is what we call a bait casting reel. It looks like this. You have the line, which is stored on the interior of the reel. And essentially these are just they're like a winch. You're just using these handles to either to bring the line in and to wrap it around there just like a winch, and you're trying to pull something in. Either you're pulling a lure in, or hopefully you're pulling a fish in on the lure. Now, as we talked about when we were talking about rods, the bait caster is typically going to be used for heavier applications. And when I say heavier applications, we're talking about what are you fishing. If you're fishing heavy grass, if you're trying to fish, if you think you're fishing in a lake or an area that has bigger fish, then the bait caster is a stronger rod or stronger reel, has more torque to it, and would be better used for the bigger fish. It also comes in several different speeds. And when I say speeds, I mean how fast does the line get wrapped? How fast do you retrieve the line with each turn of the handle? So you can have reels that are faster. In other words, more line gets put back on the spool with each turn of the handle. That would be a faster reel, or a slower reel where maybe not as much line is coming in with each turn of the handle. The bait casting reel takes a little bit more, well, it actually takes a lot more practice and expertise. It's something you have to practice with, because when you cast with this bait casting reel, there's nothing to slow down the line that is coming off of the reel. In other words, you're going to throw this lure, the lure is going to then pull the line off, and you have to become skilled at using your thumb to slow down or feather that spool to keep it from continuing to spin. If it continues to spin, the line will come off and will turn into what we call a bird's nest, and it just becomes a big knot, and you have to spend time either trying to pick that knot out or cutting all the line off and re-spooling. So this one takes a little bit more skill. Now back to the spinning reel, as we talked about earlier. This one, you'll notice that this has this yellow colored line on it. That is braided line. It's very supple and comes off of this reel very nicely. And then we just have a leader tied onto it, a fluorocarbon line leader that gets tied onto that. By doing that, what you end up with is this braided line has less memory. It comes off the reel easy, it goes back on the reel easy, and it doesn't have any memory. Therefore, it doesn't get kinked and it doesn't get curled. These don't come in speeds as the bait caster does. They do come in sizes, so you can have a bigger spool capacity or smaller spool capacity, and that's the way a spinning reel would work.